give up this job that so many in this country would just kill for. Giving it up because she wants to be home and be with her kids.
I cannot be the best mom my 2 young children deserve. Nothing is going to change.
Stop putting women in the position where they have to choose. Hey there, folks. Got 3 questions for you. 1, can women have it all? 2, why do women have to choose between career and motherhood? And 3, is the problem that we keep asking those first 2 questions? Welcome, everybody. I'm TJ. That's Robes. We're out of network, so now, Robes, we can have a much different conversation about this. Of course, Carolyn Leavitt leaving the White House because she wants to spend more time as a mother. What does balance look like for a woman who's trying to have a career and wants to have a family? Is balance possible?
There's a
Okay.
yes, and I think that balance is different for every woman.
Based on career too demands, I would.
Yes, I think it's
Yes.
based on personal wants, needs, desires, and aspirations, and it looks different for different women. And we need to do better as women, not judging one another, not comparing ourselves to another, because we all have different needs and wants.
But do we also have are we putting women, when we have these conversations, to the same category of what success is supposed to look like? What success, what career ambition is supposed to look like? What career salary and success is supposed to look like? Isn't that the thing? If a woman falls off just a little bit and takes a step back, it's like, oh, she sacrificed for the sake of family. I feel like, or I'm asking you, are we putting women in too much of some category of what's career success looks like compared to motherhood?
I think that this is kind of a new thing in the sense that if you look at the history of the world, women have historically been denied access to education, voting rights, land ownership, even having our own names, our own ability to make financial decisions. It's actually fairly recently, I would say, that women, if you look at the history of the world, have had the option to be high earners, have successful careers. And so I think we're figuring it out as a society, and we don't know what the right balance is. And I think I've lived enough of my life as someone who had incredible professional aspirations and also wanted to have children. I oftentimes didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know. I probably didn't do everything the way I could have done or should have done. And yes, it is a dilemma that I think every single woman faces who wants a career and who wants a family. It is a struggle, and I don't think any of us know what that right balance is.
Well, Robes, I was happy for, and then my heart broke for Carolyn Leavitt, White House press secretary. Folks have seen step down in August after she had been back a month after having the baby.
Not even, I don't think. Not even quite a month.
She had taken time off to have her second child. She comes back. Robes, I cannot imagine how demanding that job is. White House press secretary for this guy. Right?
Yes. White House press secretary for any president is demanding, but I would imagine if we're looking at comparing what that job looks like for different presidents, this might be among the most demanding, ever known on earth.
So, Robes, it is so impressive that she is 28 and has this job, and no matter what you think about her and her politics and who she works for, you gotta hand it to a 28-year-old who is going out there and doing this every single day. Robes, that's just impressive.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important part of this conversation. Take out what you think or feel about Carolyn Leavitt and her politics and her loyalties.
Yes.
Just look at her as a woman, as a mom, and as a woman. She has been and done incredible things professionally, without a doubt. And as young as she is, the trajectory that she's on is pretty significant.
Okay, so Robes, she comes out, she says she wants to give up this job that so many in this country would just kill for. She's going to give up this prime thing. She's the youngest that's ever done it, giving it up because she wants to be home and be with her kids, and particularly the newborn. Robes, I applauded her for that. I'm like, wow, great for her to do something like that. And then I immediately went, damn, what a shame that she had to make this call. She had to make this decision. It's her, we got to say that first, to each his and her own.
Absolutely.
But I got stuck, Robes, on what this signals that, wow, women really can't do it all. Women really can't have it all. Women really can't be great moms and have great demanding careers. I know plenty do it. What I'm saying is this was a very high profile example of someone saying, I can't be the mom I want to be with this job.
And look, I would say also, I would applaud her for following her heart, because that is exactly what she said she was doing. And if every woman had that opportunity
She had the option
to follow her heart, that's awesome. And we've said this before, but it's worth mentioning and acknowledging that most women don't have that option. I guess you could argue I had the option if I wanted to absolutely change my lifestyle dramatically, but I would say most women probably don't have that option.
Okay.
And there are those of us who always knew we wanted to have a career, a demanding career even, and wanted to figure out how to balance that with children. And I will tell you, I second-guessed myself every step of the way. I was worried about letting down work. I was worried about letting down my children. And that was a constant psychological struggle that I imposed on myself. But maybe you could argue it's from the larger societal perspective that is just what people expect of women. They expect us to do it all. They expect us to be super moms. And then you can't let the ball drop at work, because then you're viewed as, ugh, she had children now. Look at what's happening now. And you get judged not only by your colleagues, but even by the unmarried women or the younger women who think that'll never be me. And it's just this constant struggle of what can I give without losing too much or sacrificing too much. It is a constant struggle. It was a struggle the entire time I was a working journalist and a mom.
You made a point when we first started, Robes, and I guess historically, I mean, we're not that far removed from a time when women didn't have opportunity in the workforce. This is it's crazy to say that.
It's fairly new.
It's fairly new to see women have so many opportunities, to be climbing up so many ladders and to be influential. Hell, even governors and whatnot in high power positions. Hell, throw in Kamala Harris at the highest levels. So we are still navigating, I guess women more so are navigating how to do that. And we as a society are trying to navigate how to have the conversation and stop putting women in the position where they have to choose. That's how the conversation is framed, because, Robes, there ain't a day I ever went to work and was concerned about not fathering correctly, about not having as much time, I wasn't worried about how I might be viewed by society for not being home as much. I was worried about being a bum and being at home and not working and being Mr. Mom. That would look bad to me. Bro, it never crossed my mind, the stuff you talk about.
You know, I have an interesting story. I don't know that I sometimes when I tell stories, TJ's like, you know, when we've been friends for 8 years and we've been together for 4, I'm pretty sure I know all your stories.
Okay, so you think you got one here,
I'm just
right?
going to say forgive me if you've heard the story.
Okay.
But I'm saying this for the sake of our conversation. When I finally did decide to have a baby, I was 28 years old. I was working in Washington, D.C. I still had very high aspirations of becoming a network reporter and maybe even, dare I hope or dream, to become a network anchor. So I did not want to derail my career, but I also knew I wanted to have kids. So when I finally got pregnant, I hid it. I was so afraid of telling my boss. You know the story. And you know my boss, actually, because you worked under her as well. Yeah. Very high-powered woman, and she was no nonsense. And I was, at that time in my career, the go-to, breaking news reporter. I was working 90 hours a week, and I was pregnant, and I didn't want her to know. I didn't want anyone to know at work. I hid it for 5 months until finally people started asking me questions. I mean, I was wearing the blazers. So I finally had to go in and tell her I was pregnant. And I am telling you, I have never been more nervous about telling somebody something in my life. And when I went to go sit and tell her that I was pregnant, I burst into tears. And the first thing I said, I'm about to tell you something, but I want to say this before I tell you what it is. Nothing is going to change. I am still going to be your go-to. I am still going to work crazy hours. I am still going to be your go-to reporter. But I'm pregnant. And I just started sobbing. I was so afraid that my career was going to be over, that they weren't going to call on me for assignments, and that everything was going to change in my life. But I was worried about work in that moment, and it was something that carried through my entire life, because you never wanted to say no to something because you had to go to a Christmas carol. Or you never wanted to say no to something because you had a PTA meeting. You didn't want to say no to something because your child wanted you to be the class chaperone. It is a constant struggle. And then you're judged by the other moms who don't work. Or at least you feel like you are.
And if I sign up to be a chaperone, I'm applauded.
Exactly.
I show up for a concert, greatest dad ever. It is.
And my kids will tell you, I never made them morning lunches in the morning because I was gone by the time they woke up. I never signed their permission slips because they had to forge my name, because they'd forget to ask me the night before because I wasn't there in the morning when they suddenly remembered. And they will lay those guilt trips on me, but I also know that they were proud of me. So I was trying to balance this. I was trying to show my two daughters that you could have a career and you could have a life outside of motherhood, that you could be defined by something other than that and still be a good mom. But they had to sacrifice some of the things they saw their friends receiving from their mom. And that hurt, and it still does to this day.
Are all those friends receiving NYU and Boulder educations as well? But okay, that's neither here nor there.
I am proud of the fact that I was able, and they know this, that I was able to take them on wonderful vacations, that I was able to bring them along on incredible experiences.
Well, they had great
meeting
childhoods.
Malala Yousafzai and going and seeing and doing things that other kids didn't do. And I think they did understand that there were benefits, but that there were also losses.
So is that what we're talking about when we say balance? It means that you got to give a little on both sides. You're not going to be perfect or present for either all the time. But there are certain things you get professionally that benefit personally. There's certain things that come from you personal experience that benefit professionally.
Absolutely.
Is that what the balance is?
Yes, and I will say, even now that I can say I'm on the other side of it, I'm an empty nester. My girls are, one's graduated from college, one's about to be a junior in college. And I'm sure they can tell you all the things I screwed up and all the things I did wrong. I mean, I was gone several times for 3 weeks at a time during formative years because I was off covering the Olympics. I was off covering world tragedies, and I felt guilty, but I also felt fulfilled. And my argument for myself and to my daughters was this: I'm a better mom because I feel more like a complete woman, because I am able to actually experience and lean into what my passions are, and I get to feel fulfilled as a human outside of my children. And that's not important to everyone, but for me, I knew it always was. And I wanted to show them that if they wanted that, there is a path forward. And I will tell you, all these years later, I can look at my two daughters and I hope they get the opportunity to do both as well.
And right now, I will, as far as your experience goes, you did have, and we are in an industry that's a little bananas. So there is a little more strain on you and your schedule than a lot of professional women might end up working late, right? But they're still in town.
Yeah, I would be in the kitchen with the girls, get a call and say, Oscar Pistorius just murdered his girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp. You need to get on the next plane to South Africa now.
Girls, you got to finish up those noodles in the pot.
Actually, that's a real story. And I remember telling them, and they just started laughing. And on one hand, they missed me and they were upset. On the other hand, they were proud of me. Wow. Ava said I would go into school and say, my mom is in South Africa right now reporting on this. And there was a source of pride. I do think you can do it, but your kids have to understand that they will sacrifice, but they will also benefit. I just think it's a conversation that continued to happen in my house, and I struggled with it. Oh, I sobbed on the way to the airport. I sobbed sometimes going to sleep at night in the hotel room because I felt so guilty. But you can do it. You just have to acknowledge that, yes, we are held to a different standard, and maybe we create it for ourselves than men are held to as fathers.
Wait, what do you mean there? You create for yourself?
For us individually as women and collectively as women, we judge ourselves against other women.
I got you.
And that's on us, I think. If I could have just made my decision and owned it and been proud of it, that's one thing, but I struggled with it.
Well, society won't let you just be happy with that decision. Like you said, we're not too far removed from this stuff. Just traditionally, right, Robes? Does it make sense? Women just have had a role, an outsized role in the home. The man had the expectation of providing. The woman had the expectation of keeping that house together. So now, Robes, it's still in our heads, is it not? We're not, again, that far removed. That for whatever reason, if there's a breakdown in that house, it's the woman's fault. If the kids don't have clean clothes, it's the woman's fault. Dinner ain't ready, it's the woman. Wait, she worked 7 to 7 today? Food wasn't ready? Don't give a damn. That's on her, right? You all still get that. No matter what you do in your professional career, the house better be in order, including a happy husband.
It's so funny you say that. I will tell you, I was ordering groceries from China. Like, I was managing doctor's appointments from, Africa. You're still responsible for certain things. Like, I was making sure toilet paper and paper towels were in the pantry while I was in Europe covering a terror attack. But I think a lot of women might understand, you still feel like this is your responsibility. And there's also the question in the dynamic of a marriage even. We're not even talking about single moms who have no choice but to work. But are you emasculating your partner? Are you taking over the role of what's considered to be a masculine role? And
what, so you breadwinner or
yes,
busy
and then are
career
you like,
woman?
Is it affecting your marriage? There are all sorts of things that go along with being a working, successful, high-powered professional woman with being a mom and a wife.
Okay, can you step back from motherhood? Could you have stepped back? And again, this is not with the husband, not that.
Right.
I'm saying for you, how would that have felt to step back, to consciously step back and know that you were handing off a lot of that responsibility to the man, to do a lot of that child rearing?
That would have been untenable.
Right?
Untenable.
So then where does the pressure come from?
Right here, I think.
Right?
I do think, because I think we were raised and are still surrounded by societal norms that we feel obligated to uphold. And look, I think it's so interesting because so much of this is how you were raised. And my experience was, I don't know where Carolyn Leavitt's background is or how she was raised, but I came from a mom who got pregnant with me at 18, had my brother at 21, had to drop out of college, and had to basically just for financial reasons alone, and being married to my father who was still in college, drop out of college and put her entire professional career not only on the back burner, but pretty much just lose any dreams or ideas of what she thought she could possibly be in this world. And because she had that experience, she instilled it in me to make sure I never, ever lost that opportunity, that I always put my career, at least initially, at the forefront, because it's something she lost that she never got to do, and she wanted that for me. Isn't that interesting? And that shaped a lot of my decisions.
Oh my goodness, it's like peeling an onion with you folks. I swear I learned something about the whole Robach clan every day. I go, wow.
But
yes,
we all want for our kids what we couldn't have.
So what is it you're going? We didn't get. So what is it you're going to try to instill in your two daughters that's different from what your mom?
I mean, I actually have instilled those same values, and having gone through some of the relationship ups and downs, the big thing I wanted to instill in my daughters, and everyone has their own vision of what they want or what, and I'm curious to hear what you want for Sabine, but my big thing for them was that I believe that a woman has her power in her personal life and in her professional life when she's financially independent. And I know that might not like some people might say, this is part of the problem. You need to have
I was about to say.
this shared income, this team mentality with your husband. But I guess as a realist in the world and understanding that relationships break down, when a woman is not financially independently secure, she doesn't have choices and options. And maybe is because women traditionally, obviously historically, have been in a inferior position financially. They don't have choices when they're in a relationship they don't want to be in, because they have to stay, because they haven't laid the foundation for having their own ability to walk away, to leave, to be able to support their family outside of a man. And I guess that was something I just wanted to give my children, the idea that they needed to be responsible for themselves, that they shouldn't rely on a man or another human to pay their way or to support them. And so I think that's a lot of what was in my head when I was doing what I was doing, and I have wanted that for my daughters. I don't know how you feel about that when it comes to Sabine.
Well, I want her to be successful. I'm not sure how. I guess I'm very traditional in this mindset. It's that we are together and we are building something together, and everything that I earn, we earned it together. Everything that you earned, we earned it together. That's just how I am. It's bit me in the butt a couple times, but that's just kind of how I am. So I think there's something about, and it makes sense practically, but from a romantic
I agree.
position, it's almost like we're always saying, make sure you put yourself first. Make sure you got an escape plan. Make sure you got these things, and it further erodes, I guess what a lot of people would say, relationship, family, foundation, what it's supposed to be about.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, but what you're saying, I mean, obviously I want Sabine to be financially secure, and I hope it never comes to this. It's just that, I guess, when it comes to motherhood, how does that factor in? Like, what are you telling your girls about? Yes, financially independent and whatnot is one thing, but how much do you sacrifice one for the other is a balance that I guess, Robes, is up to the individual.
It is. It's absolutely individual. And I'm not saying my way is the right way. It's just understanding where my mindset came from, and where maybe Carolyn never, I mean, I don't know, but maybe she didn't struggle. Maybe that's not even on her radar. And so she's comfortable and she's good and she can follow her heart and do what she wants. And that's amazing. That's the position I think we would want all of our daughters to be in, that they have the ability to make a choice, and they make the choice that's right for them and right for their children. I would just say that it's so individual, and it so often, I think, comes from how you were raised, what your experience was like, where your fears come from as a woman, and how you protect yourself and your daughters.
You have her statement in front that
I do.
There's a chunk, and I want, if you can't read that, but this was, at least for me, I mean, it's beautiful, and I applauded it, and I was happy. I was genuinely happy for her, and then got a little sad. But the part I highlighted there. Okay.
Yeah. She wrote, being a mother and welcoming a new baby while working in one of the most demanding jobs in the world has been the most rewarding yet challenging season of my life, to say the least. The truth is, since returning to the White House after the birth of my daughter, I have felt in my heart that I cannot be the best mom my two young children deserve while devoting the constant time, energy, and attention required of the White House press secretary, and that is why I have ultimately made the bittersweet decision to depart the White House and embark on a new chapter in my life.
What's that line? Best my kids deserve? Is that what it? Best,
Yeah.
best mom.
I cannot be the best mom my two young children deserve while devoting blah, blah, blah. And I would say I was not the best mom.
You thought your kids deserved?
You know what? I struggle with this now because I'm looking at this now with the insight of having lived it, and I can reflect back. I can tell you this, at the time, I actually said this often. And I think I still believe this. The only way I could have been the best mom is to also be pursuing my dreams at the same time. Because I think for me, if I felt like I was sacrificing something to the point that I felt like I lost out, I felt resentful of the fact that I couldn't pursue my passion. And journalism has always been my passion. And it really, truly, like, some people don't have that. I had that and have that for my job. And I felt like if I had to give that up, I might have been an angrier mom, a more bitter mom, an easier to anger mom.
But you would have been present.
I would have been present.
Babe,
I know.
Joking.
No, it's true.
Things are getting heavy. I just wanted to lighten up a little bit.
But I was saying, like, it is quality versus quantity, and it is a balance. But I still think I made the right call. There were times maybe where I should have said no to an assignment. I will say that. There are individual moments where I look back. There's one Halloween that I should not have left early to go to the Seychelles for Where in the World is Matt Lauer, because out of an abundance of caution, they wanted me there just in case the government was giving us a hard time about getting around the country. And I missed Halloween. I love that holiday when kids are young, and we had this awesome tree-lined street where the kid, and I still to this day regret going on that assignment earlier than I needed to.
Yeah, you made the right
I can do specific moments, but I still think, generally speaking, I would never have changed my decision to stay as a working journalist.
I found it remarkable that you still feel you have to explain it in some way, even to yourself. We're talking about it here,
to
but
myself.
Explain to yourself. And again, I've never had that conversation with myself. Men don't have those, just generally speaking, we do not. And that's the part that struck me in all you were saying, is it's still like I can justify the decisions I made, but Robes, therein lies the rub. Why do you have to explain anything? To me, to society, to your coworkers, to your kids. To your kids. Nobody's a perfect parent. And there's a bunch of parents who are very present at the house, who the kids would benefit if they got the hell out of the house for just a little bit. Rob, that's the truth.
I do agree with that.
But don't. We always, women are, or you all are in the position, and I know where it's coming from, but you still, as sitting here, you said, you know what, DJ, and this happened, and I think it made me a better mom, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm saying, authentically, I think
and like,
so.
there's the emotion is right there, too. Like, if
God.
I really started thinking about it, I'd probably start boo-hooing.
That's why I cracked the joke, because things are getting too heavy, man.
But it is fascinating to think that this is not a thought that crosses I shouldn't say a father's, most fathers' minds. I'm actually blown away. Like, it doesn't take that, like, 10, 15, 20 years ago, certainly when I was having kids, paternity leave, that was like, ha, 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 ha. Now, it's fairly standard.
A couple of weeks or something?
I could barely I only got 6 weeks paid with Ava, and I only got 8 weeks paid with Annie, and that was it. Then I had to go.
6 weeks? That makes sense. You probably needed more time with Ava.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I took my 2 weeks vacation, and then I took 2 weeks unpaid, and I ended up cobbling together 10 weeks. But at that point, paycheck to paycheck, I had to get back to work. There was just no option to stay later. I will even say this. Look, it's not one size fit all. I won't call out my friend, but I love this woman. She was my co-anchor at a station, and she's still a working journalist. She was having her third child, and I was co-anchoring with her, and she texted me. She said, I don't even know if she could text me back then. She sent me an email. She called me, whatever, and she said, is it too soon for me to come back to work? I'm literally crawling the walls. I'm so anxious. I just want to get back into the newsroom. And she's like, will the audience think I hate my child? And we were dying laughing. And I was like, probably. You probably should stay. So, like, she was even, like, gauging, if I came back before 6 weeks, would people think I'm a bad mom?
It
like,
wasn't 4 days. I mean, it was still weeks.
A couple weeks. And she was just like, I'm losing my mind. I need the creative outlet. I need adult conversation. I need to feel like a woman and not just a human cow who's feeding a child and has spit up all over me, and I need some order and some semblance. And I remember when I first went back to work, I said, it feels like I'm going to the spa, because I'm not, like, of service 24/7.
Okay, do you tell me, there are countless male anchors whose wives have had babies while they were in the middle of their careers, Robes. How many of those men stopped for a moment and gave a damn about what the viewer would think about them being back. Those fools went to work. My wife had a baby earlier today. Thank you.
They're smoking cigars.
Really, sweetheart? How
popping
many
champagne?
do guys ever cross your mind? How I'm gonna be viewed for being back at work so soon after my wife gives birth?
No. And so but like at the
Okay.
time, I remember actually like genuinely counseling
Giving a
her.
damn.
Like, I feel like you should give a couple more weeks, but if you came back we were trying to negotiate what people would think of her as a mom based
Hey,
on
man.
when she should come back.
Hey, that's amazing. To me.
Right?
The other one you told, this was it stood out to me because you and I have throughout our careers spent a lot of time with students, a bunch of college students, journalism students, and there was a number one question you got from women, and it's a question I have never got from men.
I don't even have a count. I would say dozens, plural.
Not once.
Every time I've given a speech, sometimes I'm talking about breast cancer. I'm not even talking about journalism.
Not once.
And if you are under the age of 25, they've all come up to me and they say, "Oh my God, you have 2 daughters and you have the career you have. Oh my, you're giving me hope." How do you do it? How are you a mom and a working journalist at the same time? Please tell me how you do it, because I've been so afraid that I can't have both. And that has been the number one question I get from any young, hopeful journalist, 25 and under. That's the number one question, dilemma that's plaguing them about getting into a high demand job. Journalism, I don't think there are certain careers that are maybe more conducive to being a mom, where you have a better schedule,
Yes. Oh,
where
of
you
course,
could, like a teacher or anyone in the,
course.
like even in healthcare. But I knew my job was one of those 24/7. We had an umbilical cord to our newsroom wherever we worked, whether it was local or national or cable. You knew you were on call all the time. And that is a really tough kind of job to have when you are a mom.
But
period.
still, bro, if you're going to be a lawyer, if you're going to be in business, if you're going to be working your way up in a high demand, these things, yes, we have some weirder hours, but still, a lot of people deal with this thing.
Yes.
I have never, Robes, no young man at any college campus in my entire life, any speech anywhere has ever asked me. I don't even think they've asked me about my children. Like, I don't even think they give it. Forget balancing. They don't even want to know how Sabine's doing.
Oh, you have kids? Didn't
Nothing.
even know.
Yes.
Oh,
doesn't matter.
But you're a devoted dad. People know you're a dad. You put that out on social media but you're not asked to choose, and you're not asked how you balance it.
No, I'm celebrated for just being a normal dad.
A hands-on dad. A dad in your child's life.
Because I do have a demanding job. I've had a demanding job for a long time. They see me with a child. That is awesome. You have a demanding job. They see you with a child. Oof.
Yeah, that poor child.
That kid. Man,
that's tough to have a
tough.
mom
She probably
like
can't.
that.
Having to leave every day at 4 a.m. getting to work. Oh my God.
And one of the hardest parts is when your kids are going to school and your kids see other people's parents as being present or being there, or moms. There is a story, and I do think, I will say this to anyone who's struggling with this. There are some moments where you think, okay, I'm not, there are some benefits that come from being busy and not being able to be so involved in your child's life. There was a moment where I usually was able to make afternoon pickup. I couldn't ever do morning drop off, but I could do afternoon pickup because of the morning show. I remember, because I had been traveling, and I get to pick up, and these other 2 moms who are stay-at-home moms are talking about this crazy project that their kids had. They're in Ava's grade, saying, "Oh my God, we've been up the last 2 nights putting together this project." And they looked at me and they're like, what did Ava do? And I said, I didn't even know there was a project. I didn't know there was a project. Ava comes out of school. I go, "Babe, you had some big thing to turn in today?" She's like, "Yeah, I got an A." And I just thought, you know what? Hell yeah. Because I told my girls from the beginning, and they understood it, I'm never going to be that parent who is looking at the class computer assignment and making sure you did your homework or had a project. I've always said to them, you need poster board, you need coloring tools or whatever you need to create whatever project, you let me know, I'll make sure you have it. But I'm never going to be the one saying, oh, is your project due? Have you done it yet? Is it ready? So they were forced to be independent and personally responsible for their homework and their assignments because I couldn't be, and they knew it. And it did give them this source of confidence and independence that maybe I would have stifled because I would have been doing it. I would have made sure. I would have been the one who was in charge because it would have made me feel like I was being a good mom. But maybe being a good mom also is letting your kids figure it out with the guidance and the support, but without the oversight necessarily.
But they can both be good moms.
Absolutely.
Both ways.
Absolutely.
That's the thing, and I guess that's where you all don't get the break. That the moms who aren't at home as much as some of the other moms get judged, get questioned.
Oh yeah, I got judged in that one.
But in that, by what? But again, I will forever say your kids benefited more than they were hurt.
Yeah.
They benefited from your success. And that's not just, I'm not just talking financial.
Yeah.
What they got to see, what they got to do, how they got to see their mom, how they got to be encouraged, all this stuff. There's just no question about that. And I guess it is women. You say this all the time. Ain't nobody a tougher critic. Ain't nobody judging women more than women.
That's true.
And judging on your motherhood, whoo, them's fighting words. Right there. I do want to share this, Rose. I mentioned this before we started, but National Institutes of Health. The study is called The Impact of Motherhood on Women's Career Progression. And they had a couple of nuggets here, Rose, that were worth discussing. Most of the identified impacts were negative and corroborated the motherhood penalty with concrete barriers to career advancement and leadership. The motherhood penalty.
Thus my bursting into tears when I had to tell my boss, who was a female, that I was pregnant. I knew I was going to be penalized. I knew.
Were you?
There were a few moments.
Well, you just lost an assignment or something because they...
Well, there was some animosity. Like, there was...
Involved another woman, I assume?
Yes, and it just, it did shift dynamics. Without a doubt. You're viewed differently. Period.
Negatively?
Yes.
How, though?
That you aren't contributing as much.
Oh,
that
okay.
You're making excuses to have to leave work early or to... And I understand the women who don't have kids are like, why do you get to leave early because you have to go to a school function? Or why do you get to say... I'm tired because I was up all night with the baby, and that's why X, Y, Z.
Okay, that's different, though.
So
Can't
there
we just
are...
be decent to everybody? Can't everybody just understand that people are going through things? And more, if you're all parents in that newsroom, surely you wouldn't be giving a fellow parent a hard time.
It's the younger women, or the women who decide they don't want to have kids. Look, in the news business, a lot of women, because it does require so much of your attention and time, become what has been derogatorily labeled as a news nun. You become a news nun. And you often see this in, I think, certain professions where it really is kind of all or nothing in a lot of ways. And it is very hard to have a family and have the kind of career that certain career paths require.
All right, I mentioned the identified impacts were negative, but in the next sentence they say, on the other hand, we also identified positive aspects of the relationship between motherhood and career outcomes, usually related to mothers developing more interpersonal time management and problem-solving skills. How does that sound to you, though?
Agreed, though, because we are trying to do it all. Even if everyone has to sacrifice a little, we learn how to... Like, I'm literally on the job. I think I was... I was on the set in Rio or Sochi, and I'm managing Ava's doctor's appointment while in a commercial break. And so, yeah, you learn how to make stuff happen. You can compartmentalize some emotional issue that's happening. You got to get and do this, then you got to logistically take care of this, and you are actually becoming a pretty incredible conductor of what's happening in your life because you have to.
I was wondering if you took issue with it. It didn't sound like there are, like you pick up new skills, but does it lead to career advancement? is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know the answer to
That
that.
was the
I don't
one
know
I had there.
yes, I think I actually, so I am a huge proponent of having moms in your office because we
Oh,
get
God, yeah.
stuff done. We don't have time for BS. We
Oh,
don't have
man.
time for complaining. I also think you get really good at, especially if you have multiple children, dealing with fighting. Like you become like a judge.
Oh.
And you actually have to learn how to choose your battles and break up issues because you do it at home when you get home.
This is when I wonder how you feel here, babe. It sounds nice. This study, again titled "The Impact of Motherhood on Women's Career Progression," says, quote, "We have a narrow view of what it means to achieve career progression. This fosters gender stereotypes and limits the understanding of diverse career trajectories, especially those pursued by women, working mothers, and other minorities." You buy that?
What defines success? Is that what
Career
we're getting at?
progression, a narrow view of that. So that makes us continue to follow gender stereotypes. And so we're not giving enough credit due to diverse career trajectories
Right.
and success.
Because
Is
it's
that-
okay to not become the VP or to not become the president or the CEO, but it's actually incredibly valuable to be in middle management or whatever and still be able to have a good job, a good career, and have a great home life. Like to be a good mom. That's a successful career. Just because you don't have the title or maybe the extra zero at the end of your salary doesn't mean you didn't have an incredibly successful career.
Last couple things here, babe. I wanted to ask, does this hurt the cause? A story this high profile, we can celebrate. She has her own reasons for doing it. And nothing negative we're saying about Carolyn Leavitt at all. But this is such a high profile, successful young woman that feels like she had to make a choice. I can't do it all.
I actually hope that we can get to a point one day where it's not looked upon with any sort of failure or sadness that when a woman gets to choose how to best serve herself and her family without judgment, that's the goal.
And we ain't there.
And we're not there. And that's the goal because it is so individual. I was not somebody, and I can say this because my daughters have heard me say it, and I've always felt a little guilty about this, but I was not a little girl who woke up and dreamed about being a mom and a wife. I woke up as a little girl dreaming about seeing the world and being creative and being able to, that I did. And if I had kids, great, but that was from a young age. And maybe my mom put a little bit of that into me because she ended up giving up everything to be a mom. But for whatever reason, that was just never my thing. And so, yes, I managed to balance both, but with that goal that was in me from the beginning. Some women, and I think they're beautiful, and I know them and I love them, they're friends, they're relatives, who were born dreaming about being a mom. And so Carolyn Leavitt might be one of those women, and she gets to now do what she wanted to do and loves to do. And if she gets to do the career again, great, but that just might not be her number one passion. Mm-hmm. It might be something she's good at, something she enjoyed, but when she tasted motherhood, and that was better. That was more of what she wanted for herself and her life.
Maybe that's the better story.
I do believe that is, every woman is different. Not every woman dreams of being a mom, and not every woman dreams of being a high-powered career professional. And that's okay. And sometimes many of us wanted to try to do both, but it comes with a cost.
It's what you're saying, and what she was able to do is beautiful, and she had the choice to do it. But Rose, my issue was that she stated herself that I can't be the mom. I can't be the mom my kids deserve. Yeah. That one just stings. And so I wonder, for her, this is beautiful, and congratulations, and can celebrate her, Robes, but it still does, in the larger grand scheme of a conversation, and shifting us away from this very thing. We have a woman sitting here saying, one of the most demanding jobs in the world, it's rewarding, but I can't be the mom my children deserve.
And maybe that's part of the issue, how she phrased it. And she was phrasing it through the lens of how society views her and views women. Maybe, what if she had put this in her statement? I have loved every second of this career. It has been demanding, it has been challenging, and I have savored it. But now I am savoring this demanding, challenging job of being a mom, and that's my next priority, my number one priority. And so I am shifting focus because I am looking at this as my next beautiful new challenge. And didn't say something about, I can't be enough, I can't be good enough, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to reframe the conversations even internally about what it is to make that choice. And again, I just say
That's interesting.
how awesome it is that she had one.
That's interesting, though. You're right. That you two did I didn't think about it, but that line is also the line you had in explaining, and it's fascinating. You successful women, still there's something that you can't help but explain a little bit.
I've never met a woman, and maybe you don't have these conversations the way I have these conversations with other
Probably
working
not.
moms. I'm guessing you don't, but it is always a topic of conversation.
What?
Like how guilty we feel, or what we're giving up, or how we're being viewed.
Sounds
or
like a
all
fun
of-
meeting.
Jesus.
Jesus.
But there's a commiseration among
Sounds like it.
us, and you do feel validated that it is something that I think most women struggle with.
Yeah, men don't have those conversations when we get together. I do have that question, though, for you before we get out of here. What is the lesson to men here? What is the contribution men should be making, and what should we be teaching young men? Those kind of three rapid-fire questions, but where is the contribution we are supposed to be having to this whole dilemma?
I think you support what your partner is wanting. Like if she wants to stay at work, you say, we had a baby together, I'll step up in the home. Like I think it's a conversation you should have before you have kids, obviously. But I do think that men, and I've seen it happen, you're amazing at this, but I do think men should step up more in the home and be able to order groceries and make sure there's toilet paper in the house and do some meal planning and
Got you on the meals.
and you are amazing. Like you do not consider something woman's work or women's work. You absolutely are a massive contributor to the household, which allows for your partner to then go and do what she needs to do to feel whole and successful. And that is what men can do.
That makes sense.
That there
know what?
aren't
That makes
defined stereotypical rules.
Take some of the load off at the house.
And by the way,
she won't feel guilty.
And yes, and some of us women think we can do it better, and I get that. So women need to get
That's
off
funny.
their high horse and let their partners pick up some of the slack. That I will say that too. A lot of us.
But we keep buying the wrong toilet paper. Isn't that what we always do? There is one, in this house, Robes, there is one gender-specific chore. What is it?
Taking out the trash.
That's it. That's man's work. That's the only
I'm not
thing.
going to argue with you on
Other
that one.
than
I mean, I
that-
do it, but
Only when I'm not around.
sometimes I do it just to make you feel like, honestly, because I know what it feels like to feel this like, oh, you're a woman, so you should be doing this. I actually don't want to put that on you. So sometimes I'll take it out just because I don't want you to think you have to do it, or I think it's your job.
I'm supposed to do it. That's one I'll take. And you're supposed to order the groceries. We've had some
that's
fresh direct issues here lately.
Yeah.
That is the one thing I don't think I can. No, of course I can. You just have it down. You do it all the time. We just have assignments now.
I
at this
actually
point.
take pride in it to make sure when you open the refrigerator or you open the pantry or you open your medicine cabinet, there's Advil there, there's
Best thing
toilet
about
paper
living together.
there, there's food in the fridge, there's drinks in the
Best
Yes.
thing about us living together is we stay fully stocked. This is not something a guy, I don't think.
I take pride in it.
If you see a single guy buying toilet paper, it means there is less than a quarter of a roll left at the house.
Or none at all.
Possibly.
When you were living on your own, I'd be like, there's no toilet paper.
Yes, there are times you were going to the bathroom. I said, use the one in the back because there's nothing
And there's
in the
like
front.
3 things left.
And Rose, there are times I left your apartment. We weren't living together, and I had to take a roll of toilet paper or paper towels because there was nothing
You
in
were
my place.
shopping at my apartment
And
for
I
your
had
apartment.
to. Now we got toothpaste until like 2029. Red Bull for days. Everything we need is laid out.
next
It's
pandemic,
the
we're
best.
ready.
Oh my God! Damn. Why'd you have to put that out there? The last thing I want to ask this advice, is this good advice? They sometimes tell women in your 20s, just focus on your career. Don't think about kids. Don't think about family. That's advice. Just focus on career then.
I mean, my mom certainly gave me that advice, and I do think it was good advice for me.
Okay.
I do think that it's the right time to be able to do that when you don't have all the responsibilities and you don't know what you don't know. You don't understand when you're young how much work it is to have one child, let alone two or more. And I do think it's a good thing to put in a woman's head. However, you do run the risk of waiting too late, waiting too long, assuming that technology is going to be there for you. The truth is our bodies, our biology, were made to have children younger. And yes, we're seeing women have children later, but I wouldn't never want to give that advice to a woman who then suddenly finds herself 35, pushing 40, and suddenly realizing her fertility isn't what she thought it would be.
Oh my goodness, man, y'all got a lot to think about.
There is the biological clock joke is real, and I do think that just women should understand that. I think at 27, your chances of getting pregnant start to go down every single year, and so yes, it's a lot of pressure. So I think you have to kind of think about, what do I want, and you kind of have to think about it before you're ready to actually even act on those desires.
All right, well, this wasn't an episode that was necessarily Carolyn Leavitt on our radar until you and I just got into a conversation. Yeah. And it is fascinating and worth talking about, so by all means, continue the conversation wherever you may be. And also, if you have a story or of your own instance of something that took place, or want to chime in and contribute here, I hope. Again, I want to make sure everybody understands. This was never, I don't think it ever came across as any criticism of Carolyn Leavitt and what she was saying. But she does. You really sparked a conversation, certainly in this house, that maybe can keep going.
Yeah, I think it's great. We'd love to hear your story. So if you want to comment, and this is a new channel out of network, and we haven't said this yet. I don't know. It feels weird, but we're like, please subscribe. Please like. Please comment.
A thing. We're
or
supposed
you're
to
say
constantly.
Something in a certain order. Or we're new to the game, but please,
Clearly brand new.
Yes, and maybe we should have said this off the top. But yes, we would love it if you subscribe. We would love it if you liked the episode, and definitely would love to see and hear your comments.
All right. That's Robes. I'm TJ.
We're on a network.
Clearly on a network.